moderation, or did you actually only have a couple of beers and you're that much of a lightweight?
No, I've had 17 beers today, and I'm
17?
still going strong. 17.
Feel like that's another lie. Just lie, lie
Yeah,
after lie with you, isn't it?
absolutely. No one
Completely
knows me.
untrustworthy.
I'll let no one pin me down. No one. You hear that,
Well,
Mrs. Marcus?
Chelsea, where are you when we need you?
Wow.
I know. Sal tries to call me out for my squinting. He doesn't know what causes that.
Yeah, maybe he's blind, Sal.
Do you have
Why you gotta be a
glaucoma?
dick about it?
My eyes are failing me. I'll tell you what.
He should be getting high instead of drinking. That's what he should be doing.
I'm just saying. Sal thinks he knows everything.
No, I don't think I do. I know I do.
Mm-hmm. Factually correct.
You guys watching basketball tonight?
I have it on.
Nah.
Me too. No? Not interested in your Boston Celtics?
I'm not a basketball fan. I am a fair weather fan, so I watch more games during the playoff than I do all season. But I don't really care. And the Celtics aren't playing tonight, so I don't care enough about basketball to watch a non-market game. Put it that way.
That's fair enough.
It's a good series, though. It's 2-2 here.
Care if Boston lost.
What's that?
You wouldn't care if Boston lost.
No, not even a little bit. I think that from a team perspective and from what little I know about basketball, it seems like it's been a great experience for them to play this playoffs without Kyrie and without Gordon and without their two studs. And if they can actually make it to the NBA Finals without those guys, I would say they have to be the favorites going into next year. But that's just me. Maybe not the favorite, at least the favorites from the East. So
the NBA is going to get Houston versus Boston.
No.
Exactly what they didn't want.
No, they're not.
No, LeBron. See, that's the other thing is I think ultimately LeBron is a huge baby, and this whole exhaustion, and I think he literally tanks games to build suspense.
Well, I think you're giving him entirely too much credit.
Yeah. So what? He could, if he wanted to, just sweep every game. If he wanted to, I'm just gonna do this.
No, I think if he wanted to, he could easily put up 40 points on the Celtics just about every night.
And yeah, but that's not the style of player is. He's not like, where Michael Jordan had to be the main scorer. He facilitates. He does so many different things.
He didn't facilitate shit last night.
Yeah, but what does facilitating get him?
That's my point, Sal. He didn't have a good game last night. He didn't have a good game in game 2, was it? Or whatever it was.
Game 1, but he played really, really poorly. But but he does so many different things on the court. I'm a LeBron defender.
I have no problem with LeBron as a player. I just think he's a big fucking baby, and I think he likes the suspense. That's all. I think he's easily the greatest player in the NBA, no question about it.
Oh, but yes, he's by far the best player in the NBA. But
I think that he can do it every night if he wants to. So the fact that he doesn't,
I don't know. I mean, he's getting older for a basketball player. He's doing it later to his career than the other guys, like Jordan did it.
He's 33.
He's 15 years in.
Yeah, but Jordan was not this good at this point in his career.
Jordan took years off. He didn't play consistently.
Like a wuss.
But and Michael Jordan's my favorite of all time, but I'm still saying
Larry Bird.
I love LeBron. I love LeBron. He's awesome.
Look at Jordan's face, Steve. Look at him. Stupid grin.
Oh my god.
He's drinking
this is just my face. That's it. That's what you get.
No, that's what it is. We don't really.
Wow, what picture is that? What are we looking at here?
That is actually a picture. There's that's a band playing there.
Are you playing guitar?
No, I'm actually playing the drums there. I'm all blacked out, but I'm back there.
You play the drums?
Yeah.
I like to play.
Like you know how to play the drums?
I do.
Are you bad at it or good at it?
No, I don't know. You use words like beats. I don't know what that is. So
you don't know what beats are. So probably makes for some awkward drumming.
Yeah, so no. Yes, I know how to play the drums.
How's that never come up before?
You guys don't give a shit.
Well, we can't give a shit about what we don't know.
You never told us. I mean, it seems rude.
Would you see the popsicle or something?
It's a nail file.
Why the fuck do you have a nail file?
Because I file my nails, Kevin.
Regularly? That's a thing?
Constantly.
Good Lord.
When I sit at my desk, I file them. See? I'm at my desk.
That's fucking weird.
Were you a receptionist?
Let me tell you something, honey. Hold on a second. Hold on. I'll get it for you right now. Eric, pick up on 7.
He's in a meeting.
I'm doing this finger for you now, Kevin. See it?
Man, people are really upset about this whole national anthem thing, huh?
Gosh, I'm gonna waste
It's a big deal. I'll tell you what.
It's a waste of fucking time, is what it is.
We're gonna wind Steve up on this one. Drunk Steve's gonna come out tonight. I can feel it. It's political Steve time.
No, I gotta ask you guys a question because honestly, I don't know the answer to it.
7.
I'm gonna say 10,000. Now you don't know where we're coming from.
I know you're wrong, Kevin. I know you're wrong.
All right.
How many black owners are there in the NFL?
Oh my God, it was a number. 0.
Yeah, the answer is 0.
The answer is 0. All right. So
what does that have to do with it?
Because it's mostly a black person's protest.
I'm sorry. So, go back up. So what you're saying to me is that only black people can protest for this reason. Only black people can choose to kneel for the national anthem.
No.
I didn't think that was. I didn't get that from him at all. I know what he's going for, but I'll let Steve.
I'm saying that
constipate his rights.
that 32 white owners voted that it was going to be a penalty for people to kneel during the national anthem, which was a protest for African American rights against police brutality.
32 white owners determined that the other of the owners would be penalized if any of their players did this. They're not penalizing players. They're penalizing themselves.
Right, because they were all in cahoots. They're cahooting. They're cahooters.
They can cahoot all they want, but they're not penalizing the players.
But what's going to happen to the players that do it anyway?
I don't know.
See, I heard that I didn't hear that it was a penalty to the owners if their players decided to do it on the field.
If the players do it, the team will be fined. There is no fine directly to the players. How the team chooses to handle it after that fact is completely the decision of the team. So the owner of the Jets has already come out and said, we're not fining our players. So
okay. And I heard that too. I heard that about the Jets saying that they would cover all the fines, and I guess hearing that just made me assume that meant that the players would be fined if they did it personally.
Nope. The teams will be fined if the players do this. The teams decide what they do to their own players.
Got it.
So
why?
What do you mean why?
Like, I don't know.
Why do it at all?
Yeah. Like what? I don't know.
Because look, their motives are pretty clear, in my opinion. It's fucking money. Like,
oh yeah, absolutely.
They're losing fucking sponsors by having people kneel for the national anthem. There's no question about it. They fear that even more so, people will choose not to go to the games if there are more and more players kneeling for the anthem. The problem they have is that I don't know that this really would have been that big a deal if they had just let it go.
Yes, it's 2 years ago already. It was basically dying down.
Yeah. And enacting the rule makes it worse.
It just brings it back up, especially during a dead time in the season when there's not really anything else to talk about.
So there's been some conspiracy theories out there that Trump wanted them to do this. Because he wants the controversy so that he can be involved with it, so it keeps his name in the spotlight for midterm elections that are coming up in the fall or whatever. So
makes sense.
Hooray for the president!
Hooray! Personally, do you have any feelings towards the protests? Do you have a problem with it?
Here's my feelings. The very last lines of the song are "Land of the free and home of the brave." Okay, so we're talking about don't kneel down because you're it's offensive towards the flag and towards the people who defended the flag. But in the same line, it's the land of the free. And you should be free to do whatever you want in this country. And you're protected in this country to do whatever you want. Now, it's private business, private ownership,
and private property.
And they have the right to say what their employees do. But I think it's ridiculous to tell anybody, like, what makes us different from any one of these other countries who oppress people or stop people from doing things or control the way that they live if we're going to do that. Would I ever kneel or would I ever protest in that way against the flag and the anthem? No. That's something I believe in. But I don't have a problem with any person who's doing it if they're doing it for the right reason. So if you're going to now just say, well, the NFL came out and said this, so I'm just going to kneel to make a point, then you're not doing it for the right reason. But if you're going to do it for the original reason that it was done for, then you have my support to do it.
I think that the protest itself is fine. I think that I have trouble with how they're relaying their message. I don't know that the message that they're trying to get across is actually coming across by kneeling for the anthem. But if that's how you choose to do it, that's how you choose to do it. To Sal's point, though, I am fully on board with the fact that if the owners, who are the employers and own the property, which is the stadium, want to say, you want to work for my team, you want to play for my team, you want me to pay your paycheck, you gotta stand for the anthem. That's on them, man, and that's their choice. At that point, the player has absolute choice to say, all right, well, I'm not going to play in this league anymore. So
yeah, that's no different than instituting a drug test in a state that might not, California, marijuana is legal. Companies still have the right to have a drug test, and if you fail that drug test, they don't have to hire you. So exactly. You're absolutely right. The company, the owner, they have the right to institute that rule. If the player does not want to follow that rule, you have to live within the guidelines that your job asks you to do. So I absolutely agree with that. I agree with everything that Sal said as well. It's just it's weird timing for it all to come out, and it's just weird.
Oh, so is this all being recorded, and we're putting this on the show?
This is recorded. We can put it on the show whether or not we want to. That's up to you guys.
So
but we are recording.
Elvin Silva just retweeted this tweet. And I know Steve is a bigger political follower on Twitter and stuff than I am. I don't really get into politics too much because it creates enemies. It turns friends into enemies, and it's just not even worth it for me. It's certain things I won't get too far into. But this is a great retweet that I just pressed the wrong button on my phone, and it went away. So let me try to pull it back up here.
The jitterbug. You hear that jitterbug? Your buttons aren't big enough.
Seriously, they're not big enough. We need
I have
extra large.
I have it because I have an iPhone. I was able to quickly get it back up, douchebag. So it says here, Donald Trump says you have to stand proudly for the national anthem or maybe you shouldn't be in this country. I was there 34 years ago when he spent the entire anthem berating Philadelphia Stars president Carl Peterson about playing a USFL playoff game at Franklin Field. So, that's Donald Trump himself.
But was he standing while he did
it? But he was talking over it and being a buffoon. And again, I don't want to say too much because I'm sure there's some strong Trump supporters out there who listen to the show, enjoy the show. And we've never made the show about politics and personal stuff like that. But
I'll tell you, look, I've talked over the anthem. I've been to many games, and I've been very drunk at many of them, and I've certainly not been paying attention to the anthem plenty of times. Hell, I don't even make it into the stadium half the time. So maybe I'm already following the new NFL rule by not being.
You got a problem.
Oh, ooh, is that?
We've seen the reddish cherubby face of yours in the back of the van with iced over windows. Just all glossy.
That's cold. That has nothing to do with alcohol. And welcome into the FLAFFL House Fantasy Football Podcast to everyone who is just joining us. We're not sure how much of that's going to make it into the show because Steve's going to do the editing. He's probably going to lose it anyway, so it really doesn't matter what we say.
That tonight. So,
oh wait, I'm sorry. I'm editing too, or am I just sending?
No.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you
good.
can send me
I
the
feel like
file.
we haven't recorded in 3 weeks yet. I feel like we did record last week.
We did
don't understand.
record. I think it was a great episode too. I do.
Probably the best.
I really felt strong about it. It was positive. It was funny. I felt like we got a lot of good information in a period of time where there's really not a whole lot going on in the NFL. So I think we did a great job. And then what? So we want to tell the people, Steve, exactly what happened?
I mean, it's pretty cut and dry. The
You lost
program that
it?
I've
know.
used to record our podcasts for the last 6 to 7, 8, 10, 12 months, however many months it's been, for some reason decided to only record my audio last week, which was ironic if you had heard the episode.
Right.
That is probably about 17, 18 words long. So, yeah, it was interesting to hear back.
Honestly, I
killed it, though. I
would have been more impressed if you had cut out the spaces and actually submitted that as the episode. That would be great. If you could still do that. Yeah, let's do that. Let's release that after this one so people can, see what happened.
All right.
That'd be great.
We'll do. It'll be a remix.
A remix. Yeah.
Last week's episode. Back to the Future.
Right. So, well, welcome in everybody. There's really not a lot going on in the NFL these days. This is the time of year where you're pretty much just hoping your players don't get hurt at OTAs or your players don't get arrested during a downtime.
Or your teams sign franchise quarterbacks such as the Oakland Raiders did.
Right. Oh, yes.
Right?
John Gruden had a first-round grade on him coming out.
Derek Carr, watch out. Christian Hackenberg coming in.
Right? Oh, you said signed. It confused me. I didn't know if they brought back Rich Gannon all of a sudden, but they traded for. That's even worse. Yes, makes it even worse. They
gave up capital for Christian Hackenberg.
They gave up a conditional 7th-round pick, I believe.
Right. So what's the condition?
How bad of a pick does it have to be if it's a condition? It can be yours if it's Mr. Irrelevant.
If he doesn't make the team, do they not have to pay? Is that what the deal is? Like, is that why it's conditional?
Or is it? I'm sure Gruden's like, he's great, man. Right now, yeah, we love him. Great to have you. First-round grade on him, man. He's great.
This guy's great.
You see the size of this guy, man? He's great.
He's got great hands, big, strong hands. This guy.
Why?
Yeah.
Why does he continue to do what he's doing? Sal, your thoughts?
He's insane. The man is clinically insane, and they gave him the keys to the car. It's like
for 10 years.
It's like when Rain Man wanted to get the car and drive slow in a driveway.
I'm a very good driver.
John Gruden right now.
He's a very good driver. So Sal, honestly, do you think that there's any chance that this team's any good this year? Given, I mean, they have some talent still.
Sure,
so.
No, they have good core players on both sides of the ball. They needed to add a little bit of depth. They signed the linebacker away from Kansas City. He's a little bit older of a player. His name's escaping me right now. Yeah, Derek Johnson. Right? They drafted a
little bit older. That's a surprise.
Yeah, he was around in 1998 when John Gruden last coached. They drafted for need, and I think they got good players. It's all going to be a matter of, I think, the offensive and defensive lines for this team. The offensive line underperformed last year, and the team underperformed. So if they could get that back in order, I think that they'll be competitive. I don't think they could win the division. I think Kansas City and San Diego is better than them and Denver. So I don't think they'll win a division, but they'll be competitive. They'll be a team that you can't take lightly, and they'll definitely win some games. They're probably a 500 to a 9-7 team.
So I got to tell you, those of you listening right now, you can tell it's the off season. And it's that dull part of the off season because Sal is, while giving good information, totally mailing it in. We're not usually on video, but this time we're on video and I could see him. He's leaning back. He's barely, he's clearly watching basketball or whatever.
I'm in my desk. I haven't looked up the score once. 23-17 Houston.
There's no way.
We can't tell, but he's probably got a back brace on. I'm sure.
I have a strong back, Marcus.
I listened to the Dynasty Happy Hour podcast, and they made a big deal about that couch. They were very focused on the couch.
Yeah, my casting couch that's behind me.
It's very much like a casting couch. I'll give them credit for that. That's a good call.
That is the result of those guys being married men for a long period of time and probably watching a lot of porn at this point because they cannot go outside of their marriage, which I don't support, by the way. But I'm sure they're spending a lot of time watching casting couch videos. Plus, have you seen what the three of those guys look like?
Right. That's I mean, clearly that they All right. So football. Steve, we'll start with you since you did not speak quite a lot last time. Was there any news that jumped out?
How does anybody know what anybody said last time?
We just talked about it.
Excuse me, I got my fill.
Yeah, well, again, best episode you've ever done. So the truth will come out and people will know.
I mean, I guess first and foremost, we can talk about Hunter Henry. News came out yesterday that he tore his ACL.
What?
Yeah. You didn't hear? Come on, Sal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, torn ACL. A lot of people had him pegged for a huge season. Antonio Gates not on the team any longer for now. So it seemed like that offense was primed to have a huge year, and he was going to get a vast majority of those targets. So very sad to see him go down so early in the off season. He's going to miss the entire year, I'm sure. And yeah, I think that's the biggest news that's broke since last week's breaking news, which I don't think was anything.
How quickly does Gates sign?
I'm surprised it hasn't happened yet, honestly.
I mean, he may be not really ready to come back anyway. I mean, maybe he's thinking, I'll take the summer off, and then if they still need me, I'll sign. I mean, the guy's what, 36, 37 years old?
But he did say
is he a woman's scorn?
Yeah.
Do you think he's sad? He's
we'll
like,
take him in
screw you, San Diego. No. Or LA, wherever you guys are.
Come on up the coast. Come on up.
Come on. He's old enough. He fits the profile.
Yes. Target.
I mean, Gruden probably loves him.
That guy's great, man.
This guy can block. He can run. He can catch. He's got all the tools. This guy.
Touchdown record, man. Touchdown record.
Look, I'm a big Gates fan. I'd like to see. I mean, he was slow. He was not very good, but in that offense, they're gonna. Phillip Rivers is gonna throw to him. So
I've got him on some dynasty teams. I'm not dropping him.
Yeah, if he does sign, he's definitely worth a pickup. In a market of tight ends where we're really not sure what we're gonna get out of a lot of people. There's a lot of situations that got worse through the offseason. I think Gronk and Kelsey are still all right. I'm personally, I guess I'll ask you guys this. I'm a little concerned about Ertz, given that Goddard is there now. I know, he's a rookie tight end, and we'll see how much they actually use him. But I think the goal of drafting a guy like Goddard is to utilize both of them and to be able to give Ertz a little bit of a rest and keep him healthy, which means you might see less production out of him.
I don't think that'll show up this year, though. Sorry, Steve-O.
No, go ahead, Sal. Go right ahead.
No, I just think that Goddard will take a year to, get acclimated in the NFL, as most first-year tight ends do. I know we've seen it a little bit more recently than we used to. But I think that Zach Ertz is still a top 5 fantasy tight end in this upcoming season. And I expect his numbers to be similar. They worked
Burton.
Yeah, Trey Burton in there once he came. Once Eifert was Eifert. Oh, my God. Ertz. I am.
Hey, why don't you sit up,
Kevin?
I told you. This is what you get in the offseason here.
When Ertz came back healthy last year, they did work both of the offense together. So I could see it going that way with Ertz being the top point getter.
Yeah, I was going to say the exact same thing. I think that they're going to work him in slowly. I wouldn't be concerned that Ertz is going to necessarily lose any type of production. I think that they can find a way to get them both into the offense, and Ertz is still the guy. Goddard, it will have his flashes here and there, and Ertz has seemed to miss a game, a couple games every season that he's been in the league. So there might be a few games where Goddard is, a prime DFS play and all that kind of stuff. But for the most part, it's Ertz that you still want to get. He's still a top 3 to 4 tight end, in my opinion. So, but Goddard will be there going forward. He's someone you'll have to watch out for.
The good news is it's not really hard to be a top 5 tight end, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you really don't have to do too much to be there.
That's why Michael Roberts will be there this year.
Yeah, we'll see about that. I'm looking at the top 5 right now, and we're talking about 104 fantasy points for a season. Let me see what that is in PPR format.
Michael Roberts has gotten the curse of Jarrell Adams from Sal.
PPR format a little better, 173 fantasy points. So it takes 173 fantasy points to be in the top 5 in tight ends. That would put you at wide receiver 28. So,
Well, interestingly enough, I don't know if you guys saw the little tidbit that Scott Fish put out yesterday on Twitter that in the SFB this year, SFB 8 is 8, right? I'm looking down at my shirt. There will be no tight end position this year.
No mandatory tight end.
Wide receiver, tight end.
You can still play a tight end.
You can still play him, but there'll be no mandatory tight end position. So, I mean, I think some of the fantasy world is starting to lean in that direction, and Scott's one of the big name guys out there who's starting to institute that in his leagues.
Yeah, the question I had though, and I didn't see the answer, so I don't know if you guys did. Is it still tight end premium though? Because last year the biggest draw with the tight ends last year was the extra points. I mean, there was a lot of extra points going for a reception for tight ends. So
I believe that he said it's going to still be premium, and it might even be a larger premium.
So, I mean, you don't have to start them, but you're probably going to want to.
Yeah, still incentivized by quite a bit.
What about this? Here's a tight end I'm excited to hear some news on, but again, it's early. Coach speak, blah, blah, blah.
Hunter Henry, he hurt himself. He's out.
About this guy?
You guys hear about this tight end?
A guy who I
wait, who plays tight end for the Raiders? I don't even know.
Do they have one? Is it the original Kellen Winslow?
Yes, he's coming back. So the guy I want to bring up is Vance McDonald. He's the guy who I bought a lot of stock in last year.
You wasted your money.
And it came out today that he is going to be a featured part of that offense this year.
So is that the 4th or 5th target?
Second target directly behind Antonio Brown.
Yeah, because people aren't big on Juju Smith-Schuster right now, so. Yeah, exactly. I actually put a poll
Jared
out on
Cook, by the way, is the tight end in Oakland, Kevin.
You had to look that up.
Ranked 31st in the dynasty world.
No, I didn't have to look it up. I was pretty sure it was him.
Look, I don't think that I'm very excited about your guy there. I just
talk about mailing it in.
Yeah. Look, that offense has always said that they're going to get the tight end involved, and then you never really see the tight end get involved. I'm not going to believe it until I see it. They have too many weapons in there.
We like fullbacks, man.
You're talking about Lev Bell. You're talking about Antonio Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster, probably James Washington, all ahead of why am I blanking on his name right now? Vance McDonald. And then Jesse James is still there, I believe, if I'm correct. So he's going to get some targets.
Nope. He's behind McDonald's.
Well, he's behind him, but that doesn't mean he's not going to get any targets. I don't see it. I don't.
So let's make one of our yearly bets that we never remember what we made and we never pay.
Sure. Yes, let's do that.
Anytime. Why not?
I'll take Vance McDonald top 10 fantasy tight end this year. Will you say
that in a heartbeat?
Okay.
In a heartbeat.
I'm going to write this one down.
Yeah, I was going to say, Steve, make yourself useful. Write this down.
I can give you top 12.
Let's start. All right, I'll take top 12.
All right.
I'm negotiating against myself here. So
yeah, no kidding.
This is great.
So let's give an actual running tab.
Can we go 11.5?
No, can't do it.
Yeah, 11.5 actually.
We can do 11.5. That's fine. Yeah. So you get your clearance.
That way there's no tie, and all right. So if he is better than 11.5, what would you like from me?
Well, we'll have to figure that out as we go forward, but we're going to keep track this year because every year we rattle off all these little things. And we never keep track of anything, but we'll figure out what it is.
Maybe we can find a way to actually track them. Like, we can steal the Matthew Berry deal and have someone actually track them for us.
Nobody likes us enough, Kevin.
If only there was a way for us to have a sheet or a paper or something that we could share between the three of us,
or even something
these things,
even something on a website that we could update regularly. Because I don't know if you guys know this, we have a website.
I just don't think the technology's there. I'm just not sure it's there yet.
Yeah, we can't do it. All right. Well, so that's bet number one. Steve, you are now in charge of tracking all of those since you lost last week's episode. So from the rest of the season, you are tracking every bet.
Brutal. That's brutal.
Bet.
I can't wait to tell you guys how much you've lost.
Since we're on the tight ends, there's one guy that I want to ask you guys about.
Hey, get off those tight ends.
What are you guys doing with Jordan Reed? Anything?
Ooh.
Have you dropped him? Have you tried to get him? Have you picked him up? Have you drafted him? What are we doing?
Drop him if I'm in a dynasty league or anything. No, I'm not dropping him. And I'm gonna draft him. Will you have ADP open in front of you, Kevin? Can you tell me where he's going in drafts?
I have rankings right now, but I can pull it up pretty quickly. So hang on.
Yeah, if you can get the ADP for me and tell me he's going at a good value, I believe. And for me, I'm grabbing him because of the possibilities, what he could do when he is healthy.
Love grabbing those tight ends.
So I'm still grabbing plenty of tight ends.
Same old Sal. Same old
He comes
Sal.
in at the 13th tight end, 130th overall in dynasty formats right now. So that's where he's at. Pretty good value.
That's not bad.
He is ahead of Vance McDonald. Vance McDonald all the way at 31, Sal.
Who would you take?
I would take Reed because I think the upside of Reed is so much greater than the upside of McDonald. I think McDonald's very capped. Even if he has a good season, he's going to be capped in that offense because there's just not enough targets to go around.
I would agree with that. And I would also agree with Jordan Reed. I like Jordan Reed. I'm a fan of his still.
You're probably not taking either of these guys as your first tight end. Well, you might have to take Reed as your first tight end, but then you're probably going to come back around and take a guy like, Jack Doyle or Austin Hooper or Cameron Brate or, one of those guys a little later to kind of, offset it and give yourself an extra shot. But
where you're getting Jordan Reed now, Kevin, because I've done some of the best ball drafts. And we're doing the eliminators are coming up. We're also doing the King of the Hill leagues for Scott. Is Jordan Reed is the guy who, when you've waited too long on tight ends this year and you've built up the other positions, you're like, oh, wow, Jordan Reed's still there. All right, listen, I'm going to take him because there's a chance he could be a top 3 tight end if he's healthy all season. And you grab him and you put him in with a nice roster you built. You're like, wow, if he hits, that's great. But you're going to draft another tight end, like you're saying, maybe a round or two later to cover your back end.
Like Michael Roberts, for example.
And Michael Roberts, I'm scooping up all the Roberts this year.
And you can grab a couple of them. Like you said, if he's going in the 13th round, or not the 13th round, but he's going, 13th tight end overall, you can wait until, that 10th or 11th round to start drafting the tight end position. You can draft a couple of them in a few rounds in a row.
Yeah, so, here's some guys that are going in the 200s as far as average draft position. You're talking about, again, this is dynastyleaguefootball.com. You're talking about Charles Clay is down there. Vance McDonald's down there.
Where's Tyler Eifert?
Michael Roberts not even on the list.
Michael Roberts.
So you can pick him up for
Roberts,
free.
As of like 2 weeks ago, was not even available on Trade Calculator.
Yeah, because he's just not good at football.
So what I'm saying to you is if you could acquire him for like free basically at this point.
Yeah, he's on waivers. You can get him on waivers.
How is it? Why would you not?
I would.
I mean, he's going to be the starting tight end in a passing offense.
I would say that his addition to Dynasty Trade Calculator should say everything.
Luke Wilson is the guy.
What?
In Detroit. It's all about Luke Wilson.
What 2 L's?
My God. If Ebron was nothing, Wilson will be nothing.
All right, so let me ask you guys this question. Where's Eifert, Kevin?
Eifert is 17. Tight end 17, 156
Would you
overall.
be comfortable because Eifert's the same thing, and you could get him even later than Jordan Reed.
I would take Jordan Reed. No, I would take Jordan Reed over Eifert.
Would you take both of them and feel comfortable that one of them would be good?
God, no. No, I don't want both.
You couldn't do that.
Okay.
That's playing with fire right there.
If it's a very deep team,
Fire.
if you have a lot of roster spots and you can add another 2 tight ends after the fact, like if you can go down to the 200s and grab yourself a guy like I said, you could get Vance McDonald later or Charles Clay or any of those guys, maybe take a
Michael
shot
Roberts
on
for free.
Hayden Hurst or Mark Andrews, depending on which one you like better. Jake
But those
Butt
guys,
is a guy
are those guys going way later than that? Where are those guys going?
They're all over 200 overall. Wow. So Clay is
tight ends, huh?
What's that?
Even the rookie tight ends going way later than them. Way later.
I don't. I'm saying this is ADP. We're talking.
Well, yeah, about. I'm surprised that they're going that those guys are going way that much later.
Gesicki's the highest ranking rookie tight end, and he's at 14, so he's pretty high up there. And Goddard is at 19, but
okay.
The rest of those guys, Mark Andrews and Hurst, have kind of canceled each other out. So I have a lot of butt. I got a lot of butt. I got Jake Butt in a lot of places. And,
I think I gave you a little butt.
You did give me a little butt.
Whoa, different podcast.
It's getting a little uncomfortable for me, but yes.
Mike, you were getting hot right there. You were airing out the old collar.
You gotta sometimes, butt stuff sometimes just
Hey, let's we've been talking about tight ends for
Steve,
a while.
Can you edit it out?
Nope.
I'm sure Kevin wants to shift gears here, but I just got this Bleacher Report notification.
Yeah.
And it says Le'Veon Bell is not expected to be in before September again.
Of course. Why would he?
Vance McDonald's filling in.
Vance McDonald is now the starting running back for the Pittsburgh Steelers. What are you guys' feelings on that? I mean, he did this last year. He wasn't the Bell we've come to know in those early games. I felt like it took him some time to hit stride. So knowing that again and seeing what we saw last year, is this a guy you're comfortable drafting first, second, or even third overall still?
Yes.
And we're talking redraft, not dynasty.
Oh,
yeah, I'll go ahead. I just picked him second overall in the King of the Hill draft that you were mentioning earlier, which is a 16-team super flex. So I went with Le'Veon Bell. I would prefer if he were there, and I would like if everything between him and the team were going well, and there weren't all this extracurricular stuff going on with them. But we do know that he does eventually get into form. If he's saving his legs a little bit, then I guess I'm cool with that. But I really do wish that he were with the team and getting all that started. I'm not going to hold it against him, like Kevin said. I'm not going to draft him any later because of that. I won't pass on him for David Johnson or Zeke. I'll take him above both of those guys. So I wish he would go, but I'm not. I don't think it's gonna be a detriment to him throughout the season.
And in my King of the Hill league, Bell went number 1 overall.
And Gurley went first overall in mine.
I had the number 2 pick like you did in my league also, and I ended up with Gurley. So just a little flip flop in there. Kevin, I'm in Deadpool. Kevin, what league are you in?
I don't want to talk about it. I'm in Spider-Man.
Oh,
I'm in the bottom. I think I finished dead last year. So. But if I remember correctly, I had David Johnson and Andrew Luck. So I can't.
I had the number 1 pick last year and took David Johnson in Koth 3, where I did not finish as well as I did in Koth 2.
Yeah, I think that my top 2 picks last year were David Johnson and Andrew Luck. So or maybe not my top 2. I think I took Luck in like the 3rd or 4th round. But
I'm actually on the clock right now. And I have Andrew Luck this year. I took
in mine. It went Gurley, Elliott, and then Bell. So
Gurley, Elliott,
for comparison's sake here. All right, so let's keep moving along here. I don't know what else. We talked about the running backs a little bit here. We talked about tight ends a little bit. I don't know how far along we are in this episode because Steve hasn't been keeping time, so that's good.
I didn't even touch anything that was on that episode. It's just
too many bad memories for you, Sal.
I promised myself I wouldn't cry.
All right. One thing I think we can talk about again, because it was a good conversation, and maybe we'll actually let Steve talk this time. We talked a lot about the rookie running backs from last year. And I kind of wanted to get your opinions on what you think they're going to do this year to follow them up. Alvin Kamara, Kareem Hunt, Christian McCaffrey, Leonard Fournette, and Dalvin Cook had, a pretty much historic set of seasons for any rookie class. We can start off with Alvin Kamara, who, in many people's eyes was the best fantasy player last year. Todd Gurley had a great year too, obviously, and a lot of people would vote for him. I think I would probably lean towards Gurley myself, but many people were happy with Kamara. Kamara had 120 carries, 728 yards, and 8 touchdowns, 101 catches, 82 catches for 826 yards and 5 touchdowns, Steve. That's ridiculous for a rookie. 13 touchdowns and 1,700 yards roughly or so. Do you think he can follow that up? Obviously, we know about Ingram being suspended. We've talked about that a little bit. There's speculation as to whether or not his role will increase with Ingram being out. I don't think it will personally. I think it would be a bad idea to do that. But do you think that he can repeat those same numbers and or even improve on them?
I think it'll be pretty difficult. I mean, we all saw last year, he's a great player, but like you said, Ingram's going to be gone just for 4 games, so it's not the entire season. It's not going to hinder him the entire time. And I agree with you. They shouldn't increase his workload during those 4 games. It's early on. Keep him as fresh as you can throughout the entirety of the season. But repeating the 13 touchdowns, I think, is where you will see the biggest drop-off for his fantasy production. That will be a number that is going to be pretty difficult to replicate, I think, for him. And I think that, just that drop-off in touchdowns will lead to a drop-off in points, which might, take him down the running back leaderboard a little bit. But I don't think that he's going to be a bust by any means. I think that he's got the skill and the talent to be a top 10 running back. And so I think he's going to be drafted in a good value. And I think that people will get a return on that value. But if they're expecting an exact repeat of last year, I think that might be pretty close to his ceiling. I don't know if he's going to be able to replicate that, and he might get close, but repeating those numbers, the 13 touchdowns specifically, that one's going to be pretty tough, I think.
So if you took away 3 touchdowns from him in PPR scoring, he would still be right in line, maybe barely ahead of the guy who's right behind him on the list. Kamara finished 3rd in PPR scoring. Kareem Hunt finished 4th in PPR scoring, 18 points ahead of him. So most people play 6 points for touchdown. I don't know who doesn't. So he'd still be right in there. That's, so it's still a good chance that he's in the, he's going to be in the top 5, even with a reduction in touchdowns. So you think he's a top 5 running back this year?
I don't.
No.
Oh, excellent analysis. You sound like Steve from last week.
Well, I was about to say something and Steve was going to talk, so I stopped. But
go ahead, Sal. Go ahead.
I think that they'll get a little bit more back to the passing game with Drew Brees this year. As we know, Drew Brees' touchdowns are down to an all-time low last year with 23 after 12 consecutive seasons of 32 or more, mostly up in the 37th and 40 range. So I think they'll get back a little bit more to the passing game with more weapons this year. We hear that Cameron Meredith is ahead of schedule. They drafted a promising rookie. Of course, Michael Thomas is coming back. And, of course, Kamara will be involved in the passing game as well. But I think with the 4 weeks that Ingram will not be there, I think that's actually a hindrance to Kamara rather than, an advantage for Kamara. What's your guys' opinion on who's going to be the guy to take that role? Is it going to be Trey Edmonds, who I picked up in a lot of Dynasty leagues this week for pretty much free, or Jonathan Williams?
I don't think it's going to be Jonathan Williams.
Okay, good. Pick him up.
I'm pretty sure that, I have no faith in him at all. I know some of the Dynasty community has been waiting for him to break out, and for some reason they think that he might. I don't know that that's the case. They did draft another guy, Scott Boston, I believe is his name.
Boston Scott.
Sorry, I always do that.
Which is weird, considering.
Yeah, well, you mean Boston is more of a last name, so maybe he should fix that. I'm just saying.
That's his problem.
He should take care of that for me. But no, I don't think you know. I don't think you know what's going to be the deal for the 4 games that Ingram's out. But I don't think it matters much. They're not going to be very fantasy relevant, in my opinion. Unless maybe one of them lights the world on fire, but I don't see it happening. Like you said, I think they're going to throw a little bit more. I think they're going to get back to that style of play. So I don't know that any of these guys are going to jump in and be anything that you really need to have on your roster. For dynasty, maybe you do because they, the Saints move on from Ingram next year, and then one of them gets some more opportunity. But for a redraft league, I don't think you're touching any of these guys behind Kamara.
It's pretty awesome. You guys can't hear it right now, but about 3 miles away from here is where the air show planes are all parked for the big Memorial Day Jones Beach Air Show. So the Blue Angels were actually flying on my ride home. They were flying over the general vicinity, but one just flew over the house, and I can hear it. It's pretty cool. You don't even need to go to the beach. You're so close to it. You can watch it from your house. That's a little break from reality with me.
Nice. Bachelor life, man. Just it's all jets and casting couches.
I'm heading to Virginia in the morning with 2 of my children for the whole weekend, so it's not all expected.
All right.
If we're listening to this in the car, kids, I'm just kidding. I love you both.
Let's just keep moving along on the running backs. I talked about Kareem Hunt being 1 spot behind Alvin Kamara in PPR formats. He came in with 272 carries, so a much greater workload there. 1,327 yards, 8 touchdowns. He also chipped in 455 yards through the air for 3 more touchdowns with 53 receptions. So, Sal, we'll start with you this time. I've said it before, and I think that I'm going to continue to say it. I think
you said it last week.
I think we definitely have seen Kareem Hunt's ceiling. I think that it's certainly possible that he comes close to that type of production again. I'm not putting it past anyone for him to be a top 5 running back again, although I do think he's probably more in the 5 to 10 range this year. But what are your thoughts on Kareem Hunt going into 2018?
So, yeah, I thought we had this conversation, but then I guess it was on last week's show. I had said that I thought that Hunt would be a better fantasy back this year than Kamara, that he would finish ahead of him this year. Not necessarily flip-flop, because I think Kamara will fall out of the top 5. But a year ago, I was doing my Spencer Ware, happy dance and touting him all over the place. And part of the argument was that Andy Reid typically does go with one running back, a lead running back. Now, in Kansas City, he's been a little bit more of a spread him out guy than he was when he was in Philadelphia. But I believe that they realized in the middle of the season last year, when they stopped using Kareem Hunt the way they were using him at the beginning and the end, they weren't winning. The season took a downturn. He got active back in, season swung back up. So I think his touches will go up this year, and therefore his production will go up. And I disagree with you that I think that we saw his ceiling. I think that there's more to him.
You think there's more than 1,300 yards and 8 touchdowns?
Yeah, right. I think he could be double-digit touchdowns. What was his receiving?
455.
400 and something, yep.
Yeah,
well, how many receptions?
On 53 receptions on 63 targets.
So, yeah, I mean, I picture him 6,500, so it's not that big of a difference from there. So, but I think his touchdown value goes up, and I think he's the type of guy who could do 1,500 yards. So,
yeah, I mean, yeah. I certainly, sorry, Steve, I certainly wouldn't be surprised. I think this is the ceiling. That's all. Just go ahead, Steve. What's your thoughts?
No, I was going to say, I think I lean a little more towards that as well. Sal, so quickly to give up on Spencer Ware, he is going to be back. And I think that, we saw during the season that Sharkandrick West started to get more and more touches, and then he ended up getting injured, which I think helped lead to Kareem Hunt getting more of those touches back towards that end stretch of the season. I don't know if he necessarily does more than that. I do agree that he can increase the touchdown total a little bit, and I think he can get up to that double-digit, that plateau there. But I just don't know if he puts it all together, season in, season out, all that kind of stuff. I like where he's at. I think that his value where he's at is good, and that he will put up the same type of production. I don't know. I would like to see him do better before I just assume that he's going to do better, I guess. I don't know. He did so good last year. I don't want to put too much expectation on him, I guess.
I think for me, he carried the ball 272 times last year. The next guy on the list was Alex Smith with 60. So, Sharkhandrick West carried the ball 18 times, Tyreek Hill 17. I mean, they had no one else to run the ball. If Spencer Ware is healthy this year, he's going to get some carries. Maybe he doesn't get a ton, but he's going to get. I think it's not unreasonable for him to get in the 75 to 100 range for carries. And then you're talking about, so maybe Mahomes isn't going to run as much as Alex Smith is. So maybe there's a little bit of an uptick there. But I think if you're talking about, I could see Kareem Hunt being down around the 240 range for carries. And that's going to significantly, hurt his chances to get 1,500 yards, in my opinion.
Don't make me come out and speak against Spencer Ware. Don't make me do it.
Just do it. Go ahead, though. That's obviously your point, right? Your premise is it's all Kareem Hunt. I mean, there's no other way around it, right? It has to be.
I think it'll be at least 75-25 Kareem Hunt.
While Kevin's crunching those numbers, I'll just say a lot of people are saying that the Kansas City Chiefs are the fantasy offense that you want to own all the way around. And do you guys agree with that?
They still have Andy Reid.
I got to see. I like Mahomes. I have Mahomes in 2 dynasty leagues, but I got to see him come out and put the numbers up before I could say, hey, I want to own him over.
Do you know how many running backs last season had over 240 carries?
Yeah, I'm going to say 3.
No, it was more than that. 10.
There
were 10. There were 10 running backs with more than 240 carries. Obviously, Kareem Hunt is 6th on that list. The guys ahead of him were Bell, McCoy, Melvin Gordon, Todd Gurley, Jordan Howard. So
good company.
It's good company. I don't know that if they have a healthy backup. You look at those teams, right? Who were the backups on those teams? With the exception of Jordan Howard, if you think Tariq Cohen can run the ball instead of catching, which I don't. If you look at those teams, there was no one behind them, right?
Well,
and Frank Gore somehow in that top 10.
You're selling Austin Eckler a little short, but I guess we can move on.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to the Eckler family here. My point is that those teams have that necessity, and maybe Spencer Ware is not good. Maybe he doesn't earn carries. Maybe Kareem Hunt is the guy for that reason. But in order for that to be true, you'd have to say something bad about Spencer Ware.
Yeah, I won't badmouth him because he's a gem, and
still won't do it.
He was good to me when he was with me. But,
all right, let's move along then.
Good choice.
We'll continue on now to Christian McCaffrey. He actually finished the season 9th in PPR scoring, despite having pretty dismal rushing totals: 117 carries, 435 yards with 2 touchdowns. He did salvage it with 80 catches for 651 yards and 5 touchdowns. Steve, do you think Christian McCaffrey can catch 100 passes this year?
Yes. If Cam Newton can get him the ball. They have to be accurate throws. You can't hold that against him. But yeah,
don't blame Cam.
He was targeted 113 times last year and only caught 80. And I guarantee you it's not because he's not a good pass catcher.
Exactly. You are not putting 40 drops on him or 30 drops, however many that is. 33 drops, math. Kevin, go.
Math is hard.
Yeah. He absolutely can. If Cam Newton can get him the ball, he has got the ability to create his own space out of the backfield. Absolutely 100%. Can he run the ball? That is still yet to be seen. They obviously signed C.J. Anderson. He's on the team. They lost Fozzie Whitaker, then signed Kenyon Barner to replace that role, I'm supposing, as backup to Christian McCaffrey. I don't know. They're adding running backs all left and right. But, so it should be the C.J. Anderson, Christian McCaffrey tandem. I think that he's the guy to own. I think that there's no reason that he can't end the season in a top 10 running back fashion. And he's a guy that I think his touchdown total actually can go up a little bit. I think that they could get a little clever and try to use him out of the backfield in a more goal line situation. And then I think that he's got a good season coming for him this year. I'm pretty high on Christian McCaffrey.
Cam Newton will lead that team in rushing touchdowns again.
I don't necessarily doubt that.
I just dropped you guys. Did you see that?
Yeah.
No, I think you're probably.
Oh,
correct on the touchdowns. I just think that he'll do a better job running the ball. I think that maybe they give him a little. I know they brought in CJ Anderson, but I think that maybe they still give him a couple of extra carries. 117 carries really isn't that much. I think he could easily get to 150, and I think his efficiency will go up in that aspect because I don't think he's as bad of a runner, an actual runner as he showed last year. So with that, and I think he's still going to be in line for 100 targets, and hopefully, like you said, Steve, they're better. They're better targets, and he can catch a few more of them. So I could see his production going up. He's one on this list that I do not think we've seen his ceiling. So
Agreed.
I think it's very, very possible that he can improve his production and finishing in 9th overall in PPR scoring. For those of you that play non-PPR scoring, obviously he wasn't as bad. He was great, but he was still 16th. So, I think I like McCaffrey. I'm a big McCaffrey fan. I think that he can improve this year. We have lost Sal completely. I don't know what he's doing. He's doing something. Hopefully it's not casting coach related.
Not a McCaffrey fan.
I'm here.
He had a 7:00 appointment. Sorry.
All of a sudden, the camera has gone dark. We don't know what he's doing, but that's fine. He didn't have much to say about Christian McCaffrey anyway, so we'll move along to Leonard Fournette.
I'm right here.
Sal. Yeah, but whatever. Leonard Fournette came in 10th at PPR scoring, 268 carries for 1,040 yards. He did have 9 touchdowns. He caught the ball 36 times for 302 yards and 1 touchdown. I think that's more catches than anyone expected out of him. We heard a lot that he couldn't catch. Looks like he's shown that he can at least do it mildly regularly. I mean, 36 catches isn't great, but it's certainly not terrible.
That's a solid number, I think that he proved that he can play both ways, and I think he's a full 3-down back. I think he could be left on the field on 3rd downs, and I think that he could probably improve that pass catch total.
I mean, what are they going to do? Play TJ Eldon? So
yeah, might as well just play more Bortles.
You know what worries me the most about Leonard Fournette, Sal, is the efficiency was so poor. I mean, that's a terrible average. And with the ankle injuries and the constant injuries, he's a guy that I am very nervous about. I'm staying away from him.
If they built up the offensive line a little bit this offseason, though, correct? So They knew that was an issue. They know that this team, while I joke around with Bortles and stuff all this time, Bortles is not going to carry you to victories. They're going to hope that he doesn't just lose games for them, right? And here's the keys: don't crash the car. I think that you're going to see a lot of Leonard Fournette this year. And yeah, last year he had the ankle injury in college, and you had that concern coming in. He ended up missing a little bit of time. But if you go back to the playoff game against Pittsburgh, when he got rolled up on that ankle in the first half, and I was like, wow, that's going to turn his whole game around. It's done. He came back. He came back in the second half and put the team on his back and really helped lead them to victory. So he played through that ankle injury. So I'm a little less concerned about that now. I'm happy that they spent some money to bring in offensive linemen. I think that he's the top 10 fantasy running back this year again.
Are you taking him in the top 15 of a startup draft right now for Dynasty? He's going 15th, basically 15 and a half. So in between 15 and 16. Yeah, 15 overall. He's at RB8. He's the 8th ranked running back, and who
are the 2 RBIs directly below him?
RBIs? Did we switch to baseball?
What did I say? RBIs? Jesus Christmas! What time of the week is it?
So he is surrounded by Kamara and Hunt ahead of him, and Cook and McCaffrey behind him. So wow, they are all in a row.
Yeah, last year's 5 running backs.
I would probably put him number 5 on that list. I might take him ahead of McCaffrey.
Would you take him ahead of Melvin Gordon?
I think I would, yes, because I don't think Melvin Gordon has as strong a hold on his position as we think he does.
I don't know. There's really still not a whole lot there unless you believe in Justin Jackson.
Again, apologies to the Eckler family.
Right. It's
another offense.
Forgetting about the Eckler family there. My bad. I really don't like them. They're just bad people.
It's another offense, as we spoke with Matt Harmon a few weeks ago, that has a ton of pass catchers. I understand with the injury to Henry, but you have so many wide receivers in that offense that they're going to pass more. And I would take him over Gordon.
Steve, anything to add?
No,
Good talk. All
I
right.
agree.
Steve's sucking back at the grandpa's cough medicine.
All right, the last guy on our
My
list
God.
here is Dalvin Cook, and obviously, he didn't have a full season here. We don't know exactly what to do with him from a projection standpoint. He only played in 4 games. He had 74 rushes for 354 yards and 2 touchdowns. He got 11 catches for 90 yards. So decent production in the 4 games that he played. He seemed to get better as the season went on. He had a great opening game, and was great against Tampa Bay, and but a lot of people are projecting top numbers for him. Obviously, we saw, we just talked about it. He's right in line with those other guys as far as the draft position. So he's going ahead of Christian McCaffrey. We'll start there, Steve. Would you take Christian McCaffrey or Dalvin Cook?
Yeah, this is tough, and it's also a good question for me because in FLAFFL, I've got both of those running backs.
How did you get Dalvin Cook?
Well, luckily, I picked him up. I picked him up mid-season off the waiver wire for, I believe, $9. So
I didn't make a bid because I was worried about actually being relegated.
That's right. That's right.
I was being sarcastic, Kevin. I remember that.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just very angry about it. I really think that it's Austin Eckler's fault.
Yeah. No wonder you were omitting their names from the entire podcast. That is a close one. And I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with that yet. I do like Dalvin Cook, and I understand why he's so popular because he had, those games, and he didn't do anything to disappoint in those games other than injuring his knee and missing the rest of the season, which you can't really blame on him. But that's not his first injury. It's not the first time that he's missed a significant amount of time. And so that is something that you have to factor into your drafting decision, especially if you're doing a startup for Dynasty. And so that's a tough one. I think right now I'm giving the slight nod to McCaffrey because I think he's got an opportunity to increase his touchdown production, but that's really just selling Dalvin Cook short because of his injury and assuming that he can't come back and do what he was doing last year when really nothing else has changed from their offense except for them adding Kirk Cousins to the mix. So it's definitely a tough one. I think when the season starts next year, I'll definitely have them ranked extremely close to each other, and I think it's really too tough to tell right now.
Sal, please give me an actual answer since Steve just ran on for 2 minutes and said nothing.
That was a 2-minute waffle.
What a fizzle, Steve.
That was a fizzle. That whole answer was a fizzle.
Hey, you guys are catching on to my brand.
Hashtag brand.
Dalvin Cook is a guy I had a lot of stock in last year in Dynasty Leagues, and I was happy to have him. I thought that even coming into the season, I had him higher than Kamara. I had everybody higher than Kamara. I should have said Kareem Hunt because I didn't. It's not like I saw Kamara coming personally, but I had him ahead of Kareem Hunt, who had picked up a lot of steam going into drafts, and he wasn't disappointing. And I like him. I did move him in the FLAFFL Assholes League recently in a deal that brought me back DeAndre Hopkins, but I do have him in some other places, and I think that I would prefer to draft Dalvin Cook at this time over McCaffrey, right? Was the question? Yeah.
Yes.
Over McCaffrey because I just feel like Cook is a 3-down back and McCaffrey isn't.
Yeah, I do think that Cook's, assuming health, I do think he's going to have the opportunity. I think it's interesting that everyone is projecting his numbers off of 4 games and expecting him to be, that type of guy for a full season. When there were legitimate concerns over him coming out in the draft, the terrible combine that he had, whatever stock you put into that, fine. But he did drop to the 2nd round in the NFL draft. There were people who were a little concerned about his landing spot. Obviously, the Minnesota offensive line was much better last year than anyone anticipated, and I think they've done well to keep that group together. So I think I'm a big fan of Christian McCaffrey. And I don't think that he needs to be the guy to be productive as far as, the catch volume is going to have a really high floor for him. So in my mind, I'm probably leaning towards McCaffrey, but I sadly, Steve's waffle was actually accurate. It's kind of a toss up, whichever one you feel is, I can't blame you for either of them.
You're lucky you said that, because I was getting ready to pounce. I was getting ready to pounce right there.
No, I mean, I at least said
That's
an
the
answer.
last thing you
I
want
will,
is Steve pouncing.
Yeah, I don't need that. No one needs that. My answer was McCaffrey, so I at least gave the answer. But I can't fault anyone for
McCaffrey too.
All right. Well, then I changed my answer to Cook.
Yes.
And I'm going to Cook as well.
All right. So, and by the way, Steve, if you're having trouble making that decision in falafel, let me know. We'll talk about a trade because I will take either one of them for you.
Oh, someone's getting them. I'm not dropping them. They're not going back to the player pool. That's for sure.
Still mad about that. Damn you, Austin Eckler. All right, that's probably enough for tonight. I think we've gone on for too long, and I don't really have anything else to talk about. I'm sure we'll be back next week. None of you will have heard this anyway, so it won't matter, and it'll have been over a month since we've podcasted. So, Steve, you want to actually run through some final thoughts tonight, or?
Yeah, sure. Thank you guys for finally listening to this episode of the FLAFFL House Fantasy Football Podcast. You can check us out on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. Just search for Falafel House on all of those separate social mediums. And then, of course, you can go to falafelhouse.com. That's it. It's been a long time.
I'll go ahead and steal my final thought because I know you're going to.
No, I'm not. I'm going to say I purchased tickets this week to go see the fantasy footballers in Brooklyn, New York. They'll be visiting here in late July. And just reaching out to all those people out there in the New York area. Come on out. Let's hang out. I know that our friend from the North, Derek McCreef, is coming to New York. I'm going to get to meet him. He will be at that show. So that's going to be a lot of fun.
Punch him in the nuts?
I'll punch him right in his balls. And
he's going to apologize for it too.
Yeah. He will apologize for you having to do that too.
If you're in the general vicinity, I don't know if tickets are still available, but if they are, they were $25 general admission, which is a very good price. And that's, Mike has been on the show a couple of times, and they're a lot of fun. And I love to go out and meet people. I've met people at the Matthew Berry shows in the past that are Fantasy Life app people and other people from the community. So come on out.
But me.
Yeah, I've tried to meet Kevin twice. We won't get into this again, but
I tried.
$25. Buy your tickets. Come on.
Maybe I'll sneak in the back. I don't know if I want to.
$25 to go meet Sal, Kevin.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Or you can just wait for him in the parking lot. That's my suggestion.
That's where he's selling the tickets.
You could come meet me at work every day. It's not that glamorous.
Man. All right. So I obviously am going to tout my good friend and our good friend John Bosch's Fantasy Eliminators. They are awesome. They're a lot of fun, and there's plenty of them that you can sign up for right now. They are $10 on most of them are $10. I guess there's a couple that are a little more or a little less. You can sign up for them at fantasycares.net. Scroll down to the bottom. You can pick your quote unquote celebrity. There's a lot of good people in there. You can play against Falafel House, which I don't know how many signups we've gotten, but probably not enough because we haven't had an episode in 3 weeks. So if you people want to actually go in there and challenge us, that would be great. We're gonna let Steve do the drafting, so you got to win over at least. You're not finishing last, so
you've got a chance.
Yeah, so definitely get there. It's awesome. The money goes to most of the money goes to Toys for Tots as usual with Fantasy Care stuff. I think first place gets $50 and the rest of it goes to charity. So, and if you sign up for multiples, they're doing a new thing this year. Bosch has gotten some of the good industry people to donate some stuff if you do multiple tournaments. So if you get into, I think the prizes start at 4. So if you do 4 of them, which again only costs you $40, you get like a subscription to the Dynasty Trade Calculator for a month. And if you do 5 or 6 or 7, the more you do, the better your prize package. So get in there and take a look at those. They're awesome. And even if you don't want to play in those, just go to fantasycares.net and donate some money, because Scott's doing some great work. John's helping him, obviously, but Scott Fisher's doing some great work trying to raise a lot of money for charity this year. I think they're going to get over 20,000. I'd love to see them get there. So,
oh yeah.
So get over there and do that, and we will probably be back sometime in the next couple weeks.
Eventually.
Until then, Steve, hit the correct button.
Oh, what?
Button. Hit the button.
All right, I think I got it.